Welcome back. We are back into 6th grade science. We've already done scientific method. We are going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at this first unit on weather and water. Okay, so here's everything. I ordered it as best I could. We're going to dive into the notes and then I'll just give an overview of those guys right there. Notes on weather and water. All right, so a couple of things go into weather, climate, atmosphere. I'm not going to go through a whole lot of these because you already know these. All different gases that make up the atmosphere. This is a fun little thing. Have the kids bring in bottles because a lot of times they have them laying around from the water rockets already. Put some water in the bottle and put the top on it and then squeeze it and nothing will happen. You will not make a cloud like this in the bottle because there's no dust particles for water vapor to condense onto. So then what you do is you burn a match, drop it into the bottle, and that just puts dust particles in the air around it. Put the cap back on, and then squeeze it, and when you release it, there's a little cloud in the bottle, and it's amazing how excited 6th graders get for that. So that's pretty fun. This one right here, this one's just really taking a look, kind of revisiting the scientific method and graphing. We just did this at the start of class, took about half a class. How long can a candle burn under a jar, depending on the size of the jar? And so we used the flasks in the back of my classroom and the cupboard back there, and they went ahead and did it, graphed their results on Google Sheets. Very, very fun, worked very, very well. Okay. All right, then we went into air pressure, and you can read through all of this. Have fun with it. One fun thing to do, I don't know if it says it in here. No. We vacuum packed kids. That was a lot of fun to do. You actually take a kid, put them in a garbage bag with their head sticking out, obviously. And then you take a shop vac. Maintenance has shop vacs. Hook it up. Just Google vacuum pack a kid sometime. You'll see some fun videos on it. And just hook it up, and it basically just, draws all the air out of the bag. The bag then, really pulls on the kid. You're vacuum packing a kid, and it's really fun, and kids love it. And it's a great little demo to get them excited about it. Okay. Other couple things that we did here is we would make these aneroid barometers. We'd use a flask, and you just cut a balloon, put the rubber over it, secure it with tape or a rubber band or whatever, put a straw coming out, have a gauge of some sort, and have the kids watch and record what happens with it, because what will actually happen as air pressure goes up, more air will push down here, and your little gauge, your little needle will go up, and as air pressure falls, it will go down. Make sure you record what the air pressure was on the day that you actually made it. So, quick little overview. That was a lot of fun for that part of it. Now, along with these notes, that would cover notes on 1.1. I always give the kids notes to fill in as we go over it. Questions. This is homework that they would do that night after we finish 1.1. Questions that night, and we'd check them the next day. Notes on air pressure. This was homework on air pressure as well. Okay. Then, and I'll actually go into this one, we would jigsaw severe weather. And when we jigsaw it, I'd split them into groups. Different groups got different severe weathers that they would take a look at. They would end up making a PowerPoint based on their severe weather. We would go through their PowerPoint as a class then. I would not have them stand in front and do a professional presentation on this because we're actually going to do that on the next unit. I wanted them here just to build the PowerPoint. On the next unit, they're going to practice doing a professional presentation. Okay, so you can read through that. Basically, it's just a jigsaw. Then, as the kids were going through it, as we went through their PowerPoint as a class, they would fill in notes on their stuff. I would put in the videos. We would watch little videos. Hopefully the videos were good ones. There's for Elzinga. That's for Demeesters. Okay. Groups, obviously they're going to be different, but I just left them in there right there. rubric. This is what I'd give the kids ahead of time, just to show them, this is how I'm going to be grading them. Reading guide on the layers of the atmosphere. This is a pretty good one. This, I think I gave them a whole class period to do this. It's just a series of questions, and they can answer all of these questions by reading in the book. You'll have to figure out exactly what pages it is. We do talk about deep reading and how deep reading is different than skimming. Skimming's useful sometimes. Deep reading's useful other times. Okay. Severe weather template, just something to show them. Hey, this is what, your PowerPoint, the basic structure, the skeleton structure of it should look like. I think I rolled that out through Google Classroom so they could make copies of it and then fill in the skeleton with their own stuff. All right. Now here at the end, every unit, I'm actually going to go with this one first. Okay. Every unit we have 3 things at the end. One thing, the vocabulary for the unit. I always give this out, and I usually give it out a little bit earlier. I do make this into an assignment that they have to do. They do have to actually fill in the definition for it. They can use their notes, they can use the web, whatever. One decision that you are going to have to make is what you're going to have them put it on. I allowed the students, some students wanted to put it right on the sheet, and they'd write it, or I'd hand it out through Google Classroom and they end up typing it. And that worked very well for them. Some kids liked using Quizlet. The advantage to Quizlet is then you have a deck. You have a deck of cards that you can use later on. You can go through it at any time. You can explore it at any time. You can use it to study for the test, stuff like that. The only thing I don't like about Quizlet is as soon as you put in the term tornado, Quizlet will give you a suggested definition for it. And the definitions in Quizlet I found, they're always right, but sometimes they're not at a 6th grade level. And what I get a few times, I'd get kids using Quizlet, which I was fine with, but they would choose a definition that they did not understand. And having a deck of cards, having a deck of flashcards with vocabulary terms and definitions that you don't get does you absolutely no good. So you're going to have to make that decision. I let my kids use Quizlet. You'll have to make that decision yourself. So that's the vocab. Then there's always review questions with every unit before the test. That's something that we go ahead. They should be able to do it using their notes for sure. See how much they can do from memory. They could also use the internet if they are missing some stuff. But that just really prepares them for the test. And then you have the test itself. Okay, here's the test. Most of my tests were all a section of matching and then a section of short answer. I found that to be pretty good, pretty complete. You do what works for you though. Okay. Now in my stuff, whenever you see copy of, that's just answers. Okay. That's just where I took it and I put the answers in. I usually would release these before the test. Just so students can check their answers with my stuff and really just make sure that they are not studying the wrong things. Okay, looks like here is something about that lab that I was talking about. Oh, it looks like I gave them something to fill in for that lab. And this, we just did it as a class. Took a look, this is just, I showed them how to use this to make the chart. Obviously I didn't save the chart, but how to make a chart on Google Sheets. Just a little refresher on that. After water rockets, a few kids struggled with it just a little bit. So that is Unit 2, Weather and Water. Hope this helps.